everyone. My name is Nithya Caleb. I'm the editor of PrintAction. We have with us today Karen Hueston, Vice President of the Aylmer Express, and has also been in the printing industry for more than 40 years. Karen, it is great to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. I'm glad to join you today.
What attracted you 40 years ago to the print industry?
Well, that's an easy one. My husband. I really had no thoughts of entering the print industry, and I came from a university background, a university employment background, and moved to Aylmer when I was married, and was working for my husband for a couple of weeks while I was waiting for our wedding, and then ended up just getting kind of addicted to it, and I'm still there.
That's wonderful. And as a woman, how challenging has it been to work in a male-dominated industry?
It was interesting at the beginning. It was challenging. 40 years ago, there weren't many women in the business. In our particular case, we had a small community newspaper print business, and the print business was really to fill in the week that the newspaper was number one, and then the print was filling in the week. And then my husband and father-in-law decided to expand the print. And so then I just was starting working there and started working in a production role. At the time, it really was, there were only men working in the production, and the women were only clerical and in the office. So it was a challenge. I had 3 strikes against me. I guess I was starting the job. I was a woman. I was young and energetic. The staff I had to deal with was probably older, than my father. Then they didn't take well to someone who was totally inexperienced coming in to help take over.
Correct.
So there are challenges, and I don't know which one was the largest one.
Understandable. So you did briefly touch upon them, but what sort of biases did you experience and how did you deal with them?
The biases came partly from the staff, not knowing, and partly, not knowing the business, not knowing how to do things. And I was determined. I learned to run. I could run the cutter, run the folder, run the stitching machine. So I learned to set up machinery, run it, know how it worked. And once I did that, it seemed to gain the respect of the people that I was working with. And they also understood that we were in this together and that we needed to move forward. And the only way we could do that was by increasing our productivity and changing the mindset. So it was challenging, but it did happen. Suppliers were interesting at that time. They would talk to me, and then they'd ask to speak to the boss when it was decision time. So that did happen at the beginning, but over time, we had great relations with suppliers, and many of the suppliers we had for decades. Same people that it seemed a lot of us were starting at that same time. All of us young, and many of us worked in the business for a long time, and we developed great relationships with both suppliers and customers. I never had any problem with any customer ever. It was mostly just, like I said, the staff and suppliers, but customers were fine with a woman in the print business.
That's amazing to hear. Looking back, Karen, what kind of support systems would have helped you deal with some of the challenges that you encountered?
I don't know. Certainly, had there been more of a educational process that was available at the time, like something for learning, instead of learning, on your own. We were also in a small town. We're not in a city, so everyone is learning on the job. And that in itself was challenging, but I can't really think of anything. I had a wonderful, my father-in-law and my husband were the best people to work with, and they were both extremely supportive. And they both believed that women, they had no biases whatsoever, and believed that women could do anything they wanted to. And their main focus was on always being fair and honest in everything you did at work. And that's really what you need to do.
That's great. When we were talking earlier, you mentioned Aylmer's management is female heavy.
Yes.
You also mentioned it wasn't a conscious decision, it just happened to be. Um, Now, could you just expand on that a bit?
Yeah, I think that when we're hiring, that we're hiring the best person for the job. And often that best person has turned out to be female. And maybe what it is that we don't exclude hiring someone because they're female. And that may be a prejudice that I'm not seeing, is that someone, like I'm seeing that we're hiring the best person, and maybe someone else is not hiring someone because they're female or they're a woman. But when I look at our three plants, the ones that are the most heaviest with women are the large format, the digital, the small presses. And our 40-inch plant is the only plant out of 4 that has more men than women working in it. But all of our other plants, we have more women than men total in the whole shop.
That's
And
amazing.
historically, we have not been able to hire many press operators as women, like they just don't apply.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, we've had women in almost all roles, but definitely management roles. And even the 40-inch shop that we have, the general manager there is a woman, the production manager is a woman. So the two main jobs there are both done by women.
That's great to hear. Thank you for sharing that. Thanks, Karen, for chatting to me about your experiences as a woman in a male-dominated industry. You are truly an inspiration. I would also like to thank our viewers for joining us today. Thank you and stay safe.
All right, thank you.